What if one decision, something as small as never using your credit card again, quietly changed the entire direction of your financial life? No rewards, no points, no minimum payments, no "I'll deal with it later." Just you, your money, and whatever is actually in your bank account. At first, that might sound like a step backwards. After all, credit cards are everywhere. They're built into how modern life works. You're told they help you build credit, unlock travel perks, give you flexibility, even protect your purchases. In some ways, they feel less like an option and more like a requirement. But here's the question most people never stop to ask: what actually happens if you remove them completely, not use them less, not manage them better, not switch to a better card? Just stop. Because when you do that, something subtle but powerful starts to shift. At the beginning, life doesn't feel dramatically different. You can still buy groceries, still pay your bills, still go out to eat. On the surface, everything works the same, but underneath there's a quiet change in how you think about money. You lose the ability to spend what you don't already have. And that sounds obvious, but it's bigger than it seems. Because a credit card doesn't just give you convenience, it gives you time. It separates the moment you buy something from the moment you actually feel it financially. And that gap, that's where a lot of financial problems begin. Without a credit card, that gap disappears. Every purchase becomes immediate, every decision becomes real. That dinner isn't something you'll handle later, it's something that affects your bank account right now. That late night online purchase isn't just a click, it's money gone instantly. And because of that, you naturally slow down, you hesitate more, you question things more, you become just a little more aware. It turns out that awareness alone changes behavior in a big way. People who rely only on cash or debit tend to spend less, not because they're more disciplined, but because the system forces them to be more present. There's no buffer, no illusion, no delay. And over time, that creates something powerful: control. Not the kind of control that comes from strict budgeting apps or complicated financial strategies, but a simple, grounded understanding of what you can and can't afford. You stop negotiating with your future self. You stop borrowing from tomorrow to make today easier. And that leads to one of the biggest hidden benefits of never using a credit card. You eliminate the possibility of falling into debt in the first place. Credit card debt is incredibly easy to slip into and surprisingly hard to escape. It often starts small: a purchase here, a balance carried there. But over time, interest builds quietly in the background. Before you know it, you're paying not just for what you bought, but for the cost of having bought it earlier than you could afford. When you remove the credit card entirely, that entire system disappears. There's no interest, no minimum payments, no growing balance in the background. What you have is what you have. And for a lot of people, that simplicity is not just helpful, it's freeing. There's a certain kind of mental clarity that comes from knowing exactly where you stand financially at all times. No hidden numbers, no "technically I can afford this because I have credit." Just reality, clear and immediate. That clarity often leads to something else: better habits. Because when you can't rely on borrowed money, you start preparing instead. You think ahead, you build buffers, you begin to value stability in a way that doesn't come naturally when credit is always available as a backup. But this is where things start to get complicated, because despite all of those benefits, choosing to never use a credit card doesn't just remove risk, it also removes opportunity. And one of the first places you'll feel that is your credit score. The system is built in a way that rewards people for using credit, not avoiding it. Your score improves when you borrow money and pay it back consistently. It reflects your history with debt, not your ability to live without it. So if you step out of that system entirely, you may actually look less reliable to lenders. That can affect things in ways you might not expect. Getting approved for a loan could become harder. Renting an apartment might require extra documentation. Even something like financing a car could come with worse terms, simply because you don't have enough recent credit activity. It's a strange paradox. By avoiding debt completely, you can end up being treated as if you're more of a risk. And that's not the only trade-off. There's also the loss of rewards, which, depending on how you use your credit card, might be more significant than it sounds. Some people treat credit cards like a game they know how to win. They pay off their balance in full every month, never pay interest, and collect points, cashback, or travel perks along the way. For them, a credit card isn't a trap, it's a tool. Walking away from that means giving up those benefits entirely. No cashback on purchases, no travel points building up in the background, no extra protections on things you buy. On top of that, there's the issue of flexibility. Life doesn't always go according to plan. Unexpected expenses happen. A car breaks down, a medical bill appears. Something urgent comes up when you're not fully prepared. In those moments, a credit card can act as a temporary bridge. Not a solution, but a way to buy time. Without it, the responsibility shifts entirely onto you. You need to have an emergency fund ready. You need to be able to absorb shocks without relying on borrowed money. And while that's a healthier long-term approach, it requires discipline and preparation that not everyone has yet. There are also smaller, more practical inconveniences. Certain hotels, rental car companies, and online services are simply easier to deal with when you have a credit card. Without one, you might face extra steps, deposits, or limitations. None of these issues are impossible to overcome, but they are real. Which brings us to the most important part of this whole idea: who actually benefits from never using a credit card? For some people, the answer is clear. If you've ever struggled with overspending, if you've carried a balance month after month, if you've felt that quiet stress of knowing you owe more than you'd like to admit, removing the credit card can be a turning point. It takes away the temptation. It removes the easy escape route. It forces a level of honesty with your finances that can be uncomfortable at first, but incredibly powerful over time. On the other hand, if you already use your credit card with discipline, if you pay it off completely every month and stay within your means, the picture looks different. In that case, the credit card isn't controlling you, you're controlling it. And walking away from it might not improve your situation at all. It might actually make things less efficient, less flexible, and less rewarding. So the real question isn't whether credit cards are good or bad. It's whether your relationship with them is working in your favor. Because at the end of the day, a credit card is just a tool. It doesn't make decisions. You do. But it does shape your behavior in subtle ways. It changes how you feel about spending. It changes how you think about time, money, and consequences. And those small shifts, repeated over months and years, can lead to very different outcomes. So what if you never used your credit card? You might spend less without even trying. You might avoid debt entirely. You might feel more in control, more aware, more grounded in your financial reality. But you might also lose flexibility. You might miss out on useful perks. You might even make certain parts of life slightly harder. There's no perfect answer here, no one-size-fits-all rule. But there is one thing worth paying attention to: whether your current habits are helping you move forward or quietly holding you back. Because the real risk isn't using a credit card, it's using it without thinking. And once you start paying attention to that, you'll realize something important. It's not about the card at all, it's about control, and whether you have it. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. I will post more videos like this. If you have any questions, drop them below. I read every single one.